Yep.
I don't see anything.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Recovery by the Book podcast with Danny Falcone, your host. Danny, take it away, buddy.
Morning, everybody, or afternoon,
Morning,
depending
everybody.
where you're at.
Afternoon, depending where you're
Danny
at.
Falcone here with Recovery by the Book
Here with
podcast.
Recovery by the Book podcast.
And I'm not here to bash anyone, criticize other podcast people. Find the Recovery podcast you like, watch it.
Watch it.
Find one that you don't like, don't watch
Find one
it.
you don't like, don't watch it.
That's simple.
That's simple.
What you won't hear from me is a bunch of talk about who's right and wrong, why this person doesn't know what they're talking about. One thing I do know is recovery, and I gladly discuss or debate that subject with anyone. I'm not speaking as an outsider looking in. I'm speaking nearly 35 years of continuous sobriety, more than 3 decades of living recovery. This podcast, you're not going to find doctors, addiction specialists, self-proclaimed experts coming on here telling you what you should or shouldn't do. You don't hear a bunch of catchy recovery slogans or feel-good sayings. What you're going to get is raw, unfiltered recovery straight from the book. I can promise you this. You're going to learn things you didn't know. You're going to gain insights many people in recovery never hear. Some of these principles may very well save your life. They can absolutely change your life for the better. So if you're ready for real recovery, let's get started. My guest this week is Colin. He's here with us, but he's from across the pond, originally London. I'll introduce him in a minute. And then we got Carl that was with us last week from Scotland. He loved it so much, he's back again this week. To have them, and of course, our producer Jeff. Without him, none of this would be possible. So, yes. Colin, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
Hi, I'm Colin. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Danny. I agree with everything you said in the intro, because that's the way it's been for me. I'm just grateful to be here and to be of any help and talk about how it's been for me. And I'm a big proponent of the big book. It's been a weird relationship. I never wanted to hear anything in there when I was reading, but slowly I broke down, and now when I read it, I've never read anything out of the big book where I didn't feel a little bit better or learn a little bit more. So I'm glad to be here.
Thanks, Colin. Great to have you. Carl, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Danny. My name's Carl, and I'm just here to learn a bit more from you guys. Also, a big fan of the big book and what the early pioneers were doing. And I'm in Scotland.
All right. Jeff, we're getting a lot of feedback here.
Okay.
It's difficult to understand when the feedback is coming.
Gotcha.
And I don't see any questions up here.
Yeah. Well, I just figured maybe at first we can just kind of do a little recap. How was your week? And, maybe a little housekeeping, what's been going on with everybody, and little round table. Just see that before we dive right into questions.
Okay. Well, this is our third episode. Of the podcast, and I failed to mention it the first two times, but down below there's a subscribe button when you watch this on YouTube. We would appreciate it greatly if you
We
hit
would
the
appreciate
subscribe
it greatly
button.
if you hit the subscribe button.
Definitely,
Like
yeah.
it
Please
and,
subscribe. It
Like
helps the
it
channel.
and if you have any
If you,
questions you'd like us
have
to
any
cover,
questions you'd like us to cover,
just leave them on the YouTube
leave them
channel,
on
and
the YouTube channel.
we'll get to them the next week.
We'll get to them the next week.
Yep. And you can put them in the chat as well if you're here on the call.
You're here on the call, you can put them in the chat. Right? Yeah.
Yep. So
I don't know
All right.
what's happening this week. We're having some technical difficulties here.
should be better. Should be
Okay.
better now.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah, it is. It is. All right, good. So anyway, like I said, this is episode 3. It's the 3rd week of the podcast, and I think the first 2 weeks were very good. If you want to see the recordings, they're always going to be on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and type in Recovery by the Book, and you'll pull up the episodes that we had previously. So this is episode 3, and mainly what we do is questions and answers. We talk, we get questions from you guys, and we use that as our topics. And so far, it's been working out well. And for myself, my sobriety date is November 21st, 1991. And Carl, you've been around a long time too. When's your sobriety date?
Yeah, mine's the 1st of January 1992. Danny.
1992. Colin, your sobriety date?
June 7th to 11th, 1986.
1986. All right. 86, 91, and 92. And Jeff?
Yeah. January 28th, 2019 is when
Right.
was the most recent.
All right. Yeah. All right. 1986. Did you get sober in England or in the States?
In America. In Oklahoma City, I got into something really, really bad. I was involved in a lot of stuff in England where you didn't mess with the innocent or the civilians, you know what I'm talking about. And I did that and hurt somebody else really bad. And for once, I couldn't live with myself. And I had no idea I was severely hurt, and which I look at now as a good thing, because they took me to AA, and I had no idea, Danny, what any of this stuff was about. In England, as Carl knows, AA is the Automobile Society. AA's on everybody's bumper. So I had no idea what this was about. And when I first came in, I thought it was kind of California, have a nice day kind of thing. And thankfully, I was injured bad enough that I got to stay. I didn't have anywhere else to go like so many of us, and I was in so much trouble. But after a month or so, thank God, I started to hear some things. It took me a long time with this. Thankfully, I didn't relapse, but it took me a long time looking back on it to understand what you guys were talking about. Understand that the big book was written by people like us, for people like us. And little by little, which I think is one of the biggest factors for me in this program, is it says that we practice this in all our affairs. And I kind of grabbed hold of that. I was big in sports. I was big in different deals. And I knew that anything that you practiced, you couldn't help get better at. Because when I came in here, I feel like I was handicapped. I couldn't hear what you were saying. and I couldn't see what you meant. And little by little, the kindness of the AA people in Oklahoma City, they tolerated me. This is the cleaned up version, Danny. When I came here, I could hardly speak English. So hence the name of, at the Western Club, they just call me Limey, like it was some kind of compliment or something. But all these good people of Oklahoma City saved my life. And I'm kind of biased. I think we're so blessed with all the meetings in Oklahoma City. And me personally, I think it's the best AA in the world, but that's just me.
Yeah, I've been blessed to travel the world and all over the United States, and Oklahoma does have strong recovery, very strong recovery. You know, everywhere else you go, there's pockets of good recovery, and then a large part of crazy, insane meetings that I don't participate with. But so, what is our first question that we have? And I see 6 people. There's other people on here.
Yeah, there is. We can.
Who else is on here?
There's Suresh.
Oh, Suresh. How you doing, buddy? All right. You want to introduce yourself, Suresh?
Yeah, Suresh Alcoholic.
All right. Glad you're here with us.
Got my Western Club coffee mug.
Nice. All right.
And,
so the first question we have is scrolling at the bottom there. We do have some other people that are just look like they're listening. We got Lynette and Kyle.
Oh, hi, Lynette. Lynette, you're going to be with us next week. And hey, honey, how are you? It's good to see you.
Thank you.
All right. So, what's our first question there that we have?
It says, "Can you cover without believing in God?"
Oh, we did that last week.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see here. Let me take that one off. Okay, here we go. This is a new one.
Why do
Why do
some
some
people
people-
keep relapsing? Huh. Okay, that's a good question. Why do some people keep relapsing? There's what we're talking about here in AA in recovery is unconditional surrender. Most of us have. It's easy to surrender when life is knocking you down and beating you up, and you say, "I quit." I'll give you an example. When I was a little kid, growing up in the Bronx, my oldest brother was one of these guys that hung around on the corner in the gang, and a bunch of tough guys, And I'm walking down the block one day. They grabbed me, they throw me down. They picked my shirt up. They start giving me, we called it a pink belly. You start patting your stomach until you say uncle. I don't know why uncle was the key word there, but when you say uncle, that they let you go. So the second or third time they grabbed me and put me down, pulled up my shirt, I started yelling uncle before they even touched me, and they let me up. And as soon as they let me up, I went to kick one of them in the nuts, and run off, because I surrendered, but I didn't really surrender. I just did what I had to do to not get squashed. So, and I think that a lot of people come into recovery and they give up. They put their hands up. They surrender, but they don't really surrender. And, and unconditional surrender means, a good example of that I use all the time is if a guy's out in war in the jungle and he's surrounded by the enemy, and he's got two choices. One, he could fight there till he dies, or he could throw his rifle down, throw his hands up, and surrender. So he thinks about it for a minute. He don't want to die, so he throws his rifle down, he puts his hands up, and they're marching him off to the prison camp. And on the way to marching him off to the prison camp, he says to them, "I'm your prisoner, but I have to have my girlfriend. I'm your prisoner, but I need my own apartment. I'm your prisoner, but I have to have my car. And that's ridiculous. Because what the truth is, I'm your prisoner. Tell me what to do. That's the truth of the matter. And most people that come into recovery and keep relapsing, they don't get to that point where they're totally unconditional surrender. So anyway, that's my quick answer to that. I'm going to turn it over to Colin. And what do you got to say about that? Why do some people keep relapsing?
I agree with what you say. You know, you hear a lot that they never hit their bottom. When I came in, I didn't know it, but I'd hit my bottom and I didn't have anywhere else to go. And the sad thing about that, and so, you know, that I was grateful to pick up on, it's when you're sitting on the curb with your chin on your chest and it's over, God will tap you on the shoulder for no good reason and say, are you ready? And I found myself that God's only going one way. He's going up. And I feel fortunate that what happened was so bad at the time that it knocked my whole life off access. And I'll tell you a weird thing. I was down at Western Club and they used to have that saying that said, oh, some are sicker than others. I'm sure you heard that. And we were at the back, me and my wife, God bless her, she was petrified. She only came into AA with me because she thought they could teach me how to drive right. But a guy at the back, Bill, his name was, this hairdresser guy, he asked us about what was wrong, and it was bad. And he said, you know what? Someday you'll be glad that this happened so you could get here. And me and my wife looked at each other and said, what is wrong with this guy? Because things were so bad. Turn over a few years. I'm not glad that what I did happened because it was devastating. But I'm really glad that this is how it turned out for me. I get to live now. Not everybody gets to live, especially if you have what we have. Anyone can die, but not everybody gets to live. And today, I'm grateful for living no matter what happens, good, bad, or indifferent. So
the big book calls that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I guess when you've had enough, you've had enough. And it comes to all of us different. I knew a guy who went to 27 treatment centers. I don't know if he was going there for time off work or what, but he obviously didn't get the surrender deal. I did. Thankfully, I was done. I didn't have anywhere to go but listen to a whole bunch of Okies telling me about a different way of living. Back then, they didn't used to say all this nice stuff. They'd say, if you want something different, do what we do. I was waiting for the Joyous and Harmony speech, but that didn't come till a lot later. But I'm thankful for me that it happened and I got sober. For a lot of people, they have a hard time getting this deal, and it's not for boys. This deal's for men. If you'd asked me before I got in this program and said, you got to do this, you got to be honest, you got to make a list of all your character defects, you got to go around and make it right with everybody you hurt, I would have said, yeah, that sounds great. See ya. There was no way I was capable of acting like that or doing the things that you guys suggested that are needed for someone like me. So if you're new in the program, we don't get it all in one day. We practice these principles, and little by little, you'll astound yourself on what you're capable of doing. I'm still astounded today, to be honest with you.
What you said a little bit earlier was that, you know, the big book says we don't regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. You know, you don't have to be okay with what you did, but you don't regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. Carl, why do you think some people keep relapsing?
That's a great question, Danny. This was on my mind for many, many years. People you're working with are trying to help, and you go in and out and in and out. And I found the answer in how it works. And I've got the book in front of me there. Those who do not recover, people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. And then that does simplify it a little bit, and that goes on. People I've worked with who haven't managed it, it's been more. I'm talking like sponsees. They've put conditions on the sobriety. So seeing the kids getting the job back, getting the wife back, getting the, you know, there's always been conditions on it. I can't go to, you know, putting things ahead of the meetings. I'm a big soccer fan, but I've been in groups on Saturdays, and I've been members of a group on a Wednesday. I've been in groups that have needed to be on Christmas Day. My wife met me in my. She met me when I was sober, so this has to come ahead of all that. And until this comes ahead of all that, it needs to be the most important thing. And if you can't get that, I don't know how you can get it without doing what the book suggests. But I came and stayed. I had the gift of desperation that you guys talk about. So I was desperate enough to stay and do what you guys told me to do, I suppose. But yeah. I don't know. You need to ask them, I guess. There might be people better qualified. I do know, though, that people that I work with will tell you who did the in and out and the in and out, and they finally made a difference once they started getting into the program seriously.
Yeah, you know, what you said, conditions. That's real true and real important that people have to understand this. I'm going to make a statement. Some people won't understand it. Some people won't agree with it. But here's the statement. Any condition you have upon your sobriety, you have no sobriety at all. All you have is that condition thereof. You know, so if, in other words, for an easy example of that would be like if the judge told you, hey, you're going to go to, you know, AA meetings, and and if you mess up, you know, so you go into AA meetings because make the judge happy. Then you go back in front of the judge, and he says, okay, you've done good the last 6 months, case dismissed. Okay, now you have no reason because the condition of your sobriety is no longer pertinent. So any condition you have on your sobriety, you have no sobriety at all. All you have is that condition thereof. Now, Suresh, you have you have personal experience with this. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm what people would call a relapser, but you know, I ask the question of why I would drink again. So let's just say a relapse, just drinking again after a period of not drinking. So that's a relapse. But I of course, in doing a 10th step, having done the steps before, you know, I'm writing down what is getting under my skin when I'm, you know, am I drinking? What you know, what resentments and fears and other issues build up that are ventilated with alcohol. And so, you know, I have some insight because of the 10th step, because I can do some kind of writing. But really, the meetings are very helpful because I get to hear from other alcoholics who actually come back after some period of time and just what it is. And I don't have a good answer because I always hear the same sorts of answers, and they're very pat answers like, well, I stopped coming to meetings. And then the next thing, I stopped doing the 12th step. And then I stopped doing the 10th. Eventually, I stopped doing the first step again.
Yeah.
I have to use, I look at to answer the question, I guess I look at the word, it's one of those medical words, and you can't relapse. I can't relapse unless I actually had a disease, third relapse, that I was diagnosed, the disease is in remission. Context of alcoholism means that the mental obsession has been lifted. So the allergy would never go away. I think I'm born with it. But if the mental obsession's been lifted, then I have a genuine disease-free interval. And so if I drink after a disease-free interval, however long or short that might be, then I would say that qualifies as a relapse. But I don't have an answer for, why some people, that's an interesting, adjective, some people, I don't know. Some people come to AA and never drink again. Some people, like me, have been in and out of the program for years and never really have the mental obsession lifted. I can honestly say that the mental obsession is not lifted because it doesn't seem to matter if it's 3, 6, 9 months or longer. I don't have a genuine disease-free interval. That's why I'm hesitant to even use the word relapse, because that that after the book, the mental obsession should be lifted, and the promises come after the 9th step. But if I'm drinking after some significant, and that's very subjective, disease-free interval, and I therefore relapse by the definition of drinking again, well, then that means the diagnosis is that the mental obsession was never really lifted in the first place. I never had a disease-free interval. And so that's the best answer I can give. I don't have a great answer because after all this time in AA, I really don't know why some people just absolutely get it and never drink again. And it may be that some are not really alcoholics. Some may be what the book describes as hard drinkers. Some may not just be alcoholics, period. It may have some other problems. And so I don't have a good answer, but I appreciate, thinking about it on a Saturday morning. It's beautiful out there.
Well, it's interesting because your definition of a relapse is partially true and partially not true. A relapse has to come after a certain point of recovery from an illness, yes. But the fact that just not drinking alone, does not constitute recovery. Not drinking is the lowest form of recovery. People could not drink, and for instance, my oldest brother, he's dead now, but he became a born-again Christian and stopped drinking and doing drugs, and he was 32, 33 years sober when he died. Never been to a meeting, never practiced any 12 steps, but practiced the born-again Christian belief, and that worked for him. So, but the fact that you are not drinking doesn't constitute that you're in recovery. And so, because what we do when we come in, of course, we have to not drink, but now we have to take the steps that turn us around and go inside and deal with the things that block us from the sunlight of the spirit. So it's an interesting topic. I'm one of the 50% the big book talks of. I crawled into the rooms November 20th, 1991, and November 21st was my first day sober, and I've been sober continuously since then. Now, that doesn't mean I'm special or anything like that. That just means that that's my story. And other people have different stories. One thing I do want to say, the people that have relapsed and come back in, I do not believe, and I do not like, and I do not agree with the fact when they share in the rooms that relapse is part of recovery. No, it's not. Relapse is the problem. It's not the solution. There's nothing in the program of recovery that tells you relapse is part of it. Yeah, that's interesting. Very good. I like this, doing this questions and stuff. So what else we got, Jeff?
Let's see here. Let's check this question out. About when your old friends don't fit in your new life.
Oh boy, that is a good question. When your old friends don't fit into your new life. Well,
Yeah.
let's see.
What
You know,
do you do
the
with
friends
your
I
old
had, the friends I had before I got sober. You know, I mean, I drank and used every day, and that's what my friends did. My mother used to say, "Birds of a feather flock together." you know, uh, so all my friends were criminals. All my friends drank, and most of them did some blow. You know, but yeah. So once I get sober, I'm still friends with some people that I grew up with. I have friends for 60 years, you know, that we grew up with. Don't hang out with them, but we keep in touch. We're friends. We're there for each other. When we do get together, yes, they drink. Some of them smoke some weed. Some of them do some coke, but they don't do it in front of me. They drink in front of me, no big deal. But what I've been able to do, and what everybody should do, is replace my friends with sober people. And that's the key to that, is make a whole new host of friends. The big book talks about that, right? We need a whole new host of friends because the friends we had before aren't conducive to the lifestyle we're trying to live today. Colin, when your old friends don't fit in your new life.
Funny you say that about your mum. I grew up in the same kind of neighborhood like you, and my mother was wonderful person, may she rest in peace. And she would say, "You've got to stay away from these people. They're a bad influence." And she would warn me. And I said to her one time, "Mom, I'm the guy that you're warning me against." God bless her. She thought when I got sober, she would say, "Oh, if you," because we came from an Irish Cockney neighborhood where everybody worked construction or something. And she said, "If you just had an inside job, everything would have been all right, like a job in an office or something." And I said, "Mom, I meet these people in meetings. They're worse than I am. At least I had a way of sweating some of it off." I would like to say, on going back to that last question, that this self-honesty has to be developed. And when the first time at the Western Club, when they read how it works, and they said the only people that can't get this deal are people who don't have the capacity to be honest. And I was sitting in one of my first few meetings and I was like, oh man, I'm done. I had no idea what real honesty meant. I had to learn it. I had to learn it out of the book, and I had to learn it off you guys. And I had to see how you did it in your everyday life, because I had no idea what you were talking about. I too, still, a lot of my friends are dead. That's just how it works in these big cities. But I'll share this with you, and I don't usually share it. When my dad was passing away, God bless him, may he rest in heaven, I was in my mother's kitchen and my father's kitchen, and both of my brothers were there. And we were talking back and forth, and of course they were drinking. Why wouldn't they? And we were talking, I don't know, maybe I was 3, 4, 5 years sober. And we were just all around the table, and things were getting heightened, and and they were both talking, and they'd had plenty. And they stopped on a dime, and they both looked at me. I guess that's where I came in with my bullshit. You know, it was beyond, it was just how we all dealt with each other. And they both stopped, and I looked, and both of them were looking intently at me. And I put my hands up and I said, boys, I come in peace. I don't think the same way as I used to think. I don't say things the way I used to say them, and I don't do what I used to do. And the look of confusion in their eyes, I still remember to today. When you work these 12 steps, you change, and you change for the better. You don't get to put down your way of life and everything that got you to this point. The natural expression of being in AA and being helped by people, the way it comes out is in a desire to help others. And that's got to be good for everybody. So, yeah, I told one of my friends in the neighborhood, in fact, we went to a place in Oklahoma with a friend from the neighborhood, and he was one of the faces, a little bit older than me. And he was at his bar, his fancy house, and we walked in, and he said to my brother, "What do you want to drink?" My brother said, "Get me a beer." And he said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I don't know. Have you got a Sprite or something?" He went down by the bar to look for it and said, "Oh." Behind the bar, I heard him say, "Oh, you'll be walking on water next week." That's how we were and how I was. If you didn't drink or gamble, I didn't think you could be trusted. How wrong I was.
Yeah.
So,
Carl, when your old friends don't fit in your new life, what do you tell the new people that you're working with?
That's an interesting question, because I'm not like any friendship of any value. I destroyed it before I came, and I came young, and so I created a new life. I went off to college when I was 26 and newly sober, and then I went and lived abroad. I ran pubs. I had my own bars in the Canary Islands for 12 years. So, and then working for people when I came back. So for me, this is new friends don't fit my new life. It's quite interesting. So, as you get to know people that you work with, and then you go on a works night out, and so just have the one. And then outside that work environment, you're getting to recognize your old behaviors in them. So I honestly don't think I had any friendships overlap into this new life. But yeah, so my main, I don't know, challenge is the right word, but down to disappoint people, especially early on, not going to weddings, not going to events, not going to works nights out. You know, I've had somebody I was working with who really struggled about a works night out, so much so that just became the obsessive thought, to the point where it caused them a lot of problems. So yeah, making new friendships that suit this new life, I would say, is probably the way I would look at this question.
Yeah.
But anybody, like, because honestly, my brothers didn't want to see me drink. I've got 3 brothers. Alaska, I used to go out with them. They didn't want to see me drink. Honestly, I can't think of anybody else who wanted me in their company. It would have been a problem. That's the best I can give you, man.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the whole thing is like all my old friends, you know, I still like them. I still, you know, have a rapport with them. I just don't hang out with them. And, you know, the whole deal is getting new friends. Like I said, that's what the big book talks about. We made a host of new friends. Jeff, you got anything you want to chime in here with?
Yeah, sure. So, you know, I'm a musician, so I get paid to go to play in bars and casinos, and You know, the people I hung around with from, you know, we used to go when I grew up in junior high, we would go and get up early in the morning and walk in the dark to a place called the Wall by Hefner Junior High and smoke weed before school and then one time me and my friend Brad Worsham drank a fifth of Crown Royal before class. And, you know, he got busted. I never did. I never got caught. That was something, I don't know how I eluded everybody. I fooled everybody, you know, and told them I always got out of it. You know, I didn't have to go to treatment. I didn't go to rehab like everybody else. Everybody went to jail, went off somehow. I have no idea how I got out of these things. But, you know, like you were saying, I had to change. You know, now I want to hang out with people in the program because I know they've been where I've been, you know, so we're all going for the same goal here. So, I mean, even last night, I had a show last night in downtown Oklahoma City, and the people that hired us were like, "Hey, go into this little room over here. It's Hunziker Electric has a place called the Eleanor." So I went inside there, and it's literally like a social club where they drink whiskey and scotch and smoke cigars.
All right.
And so I went in. They go, "Well, should we give them the initiation?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" So they have a bottle of pure grain alcohol that's flavored like Doritos, and that's the initiation. And they got a shot for me, ready to go. And I'm like, and you know, hey, I appreciate that. I'm not drinking today, you know. So, but he did have me smell it. It smelled like pure alcohol and Doritos. You know, so, but I did. I hung out in there a little bit, and really nice people, nice folks. You know, it's like, but I was like, man, I got to get out of here. One thing, I'm not a cigar smoker. I smoked cigarettes for years and other things, but I could not deal with the cigar smoke. So, but it is, and that kind of maybe leads to the next question: the importance of the social life that we got teed up. You know, that was a cool deal, but it's probably not something I would, you know, I can't go to those kind of things. Nor now, thank God, because of the program, I wanted to get out of there, you know, although those people are probably nice and great and they can hold it together. You know, I told the guys, I said, you know, there was no benefit to my emotional, spiritual, or physical condition when I drank alcohol. So I choose not to today. So, but yeah, old friends still hang out, see a lot of them. But the funny, crazy thing about this deal is that I can't tell you in the last, 6-7 years, I'm the new guy, I guess, apparently around all you old efforts over here. is that, I have more old friends of mine have reached out to me saying, "Hey man, I don't want to, I'm tired of drinking. I'm tired of feeling like crap. I don't want to do this anymore." I can't tell you how many people reach out to me now of my old friends that do that. And that's truly, I think, a miracle from the program.
Yeah.
I would say this, Danny, that I've found that the people that love you whether you're drinking or sober. And I still get on with people who have that kind of mentality, drinking, gambling, getting in trouble. But I had a weird experience. I was sober, fairly new, and I went to my, I was at home and people were coming to the house to see me and my wife. And when my parents didn't drink very much, they knew the dangers. But when you came to our house, it was tall boys and glasses of whiskey and whatever, no ice, no nothing. And I'm sitting in between these two big old Irish guys, my dad and my Uncle Joe, God bless them. And they were the patriarchs. So everyone was talking And over there, as Carl knows, the living room's like 12 by 12. People sitting on the sides of the sofa or wherever they could sit. And my Uncle Joe leaned down to me, he's a big old Irish guy, and he said, "What are you doing over there? You look grand." And I said, "Well, I'm on the wagon." And he was like, "What does that mean?" I said, "I'm in AA." And he was like, he didn't know what AA was. And I said, "I don't drink. I'm in AA." And he said, "Well, by Jesus, it looks good on you." And he said, "Boys," and everybody looked up when he talked, and he raised his glass and he said, "AA." And we got to talk. What it was they were happy that a kid out of their neighborhood beat the trap, because the trap was everywhere. And he was just glad that one of them got out of the trap. So I always remember that kindly, him toasting AA with a big glass of gin. But the ones that love you, love. At first, some of it's like resentment, because all of a sudden you're not doing the same as everybody else is doing, and that's okay. But then over the years, you find people that will call you and ask you to help their son or their brother or something. So alcohol and drugs, the beat goes on. The beat goes on. And I'm glad I don't have to play anymore.
You know,
Even with these fellas like Jeff.
over here, this question, the importance of the social life. You know, we have functions like a week or so ago, I had a sober pool party, barbecue, you know, a bunch of people came over. We all do that. You know, we have functions. It's important that you understand and you be involved in sober functions. You know, most places have that kind of stuff going on. And a lot of people over the years have shared about how confusing and hard it is that they don't know how to handle themselves when they're at a party or something and somebody wants to hand them a drink, you know, and they don't know what to do or what to say. And you know what? I call that mental masturbation, you know, because the answer is so simple and the way to handle that is so simple. You just say, "No, thank you." You don't have to explain anything to anybody. Here's a drink. Say, "No, thank you." And that's the end of that. Now, I remember early in my sobriety, I was at a party and people asked me, "What can I get you to drink?" And "No, thanks, nothing, I'm good." You know, and like that. And then third or fourth time, a guy says to me, "You know, why won't you have a drink?" And I said to him, "I don't drink." And I said, "You ought to be glad that I don't drink. Because if I had a drink, I'd probably be hitting on your wife or knocking you out." I don't. That was very early in sobriety. I don't talk like that no more. But the simple answer when you find yourself in that kind of a situation is just say, "No, thanks. No, thanks." You know, well, you want something to drink? You got coffee, you got water, you got juice, whatever. You know, no, thanks. Anyway, so I appreciate you guys joining us and being part of this. Anybody got anything they need to say before we close out? Well, tell your friends about us so they could join us, or they could watch it on YouTube and subscribe there. We need to build up the people watching. Appreciate you guys. Then, if nobody got nothing else, then thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Thanks, Danny.
Yeah. All right. See you. Bye.
All right. I don't know how to close this out. How do you close this out? Oh, leave studio. Here you go.
Say no thanks.